Hello and a very warm welcome. Our chariot that you see behind me has now brought us to the outskirts of Bengaluru. We are in Bangalore rural, the only seat the Congress won the last time in Karnataka when the BJP swept through the Lok Sabha polls. Will the same happen this time, or does the Congress have a chance? We'll find out. But for now, the focus is really on the Prime Minister's contentious speech made in Rajasthan that the opposition is saying is a hate speech. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our focus today on this live broadcast is on the Prime Minister's speech made from Rajasthan. It was a speech where the Prime Minister referred back to a Manmohan Singh speech, a speech that the Congress says that the Prime Minister only quoted partially from, to say that the Congress wants to take the wealth of people and redistribute it. And in that redistribution, the first priority will be to Muslims. In fact, he went so far as to talk about Muslims in language that referred to communities that have more children. At one point, he also used the word infiltrators or intruders for them. The Congress manifesto does not specifically talk about the redistribution of wealth, but a speech made by Rahul Gandhi did indeed refer to a financial and an institutional survey that the Congress would undertake if it was able to form the government. Rahul Gandhi today in a tweet said that the Prime Minister was trying to divert attention because the first phase had not gone well for the BJP. The Congress has called this speech hate speech. Interestingly, a day after this speech, the Prime Minister today made another speech where he spoke about an increase in the Hajj quota for Muslims and also spoke about how much difference the triple talaq push by the Modi government had made to the lives of Muslim women. Was this an attempt to change the headlines, or is the BJP going to double down on the comments made by the Prime Minister? Let's introduce our guests on the program today. And let me also, as I introduce them, request them to keep the conversation going if for any reason you lose me, because I'm in a particularly remote area in a small little village on the outskirts of Bengaluru in Bangalore rural. So forgive me if my network is a little patchy. Abhijit Iyer Mitra is with us. He's a political analyst. He does identify, despite the limitations of labels, as someone who's right of center. You can find out more about that in our podcast with him releasing this week. Sabha Naqvi, the author of a book on the saffron wave, is with us. She's a critic often of the government, but she spent her life as a journalist studying the BJP, very dispassionately, I should add. Welcome to the program, Sabha. Ashwini Shahi, senior leader of the BJP, is with us. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Ashwini ji. And Sanjay Jha, a supporter of the Congress, yet his party won't reinstate him as spokesperson, is with us as well. A good-spirited champion of the Congress there. Welcome, everybody. Without further ado, I think it's very important to hear what the Prime Minister said. So let's listen.
जीवन के सपनों से जुड़ा हुआ है, तो मुझसे छीनने की बात कर रहे हो अपने मैनिफेस्टो में?
Waiting for that speech to come up. Okay, I don't know what the problem with is, but let's just get first comments while we are waiting for it to come up. Sabha, do you want to just comment on it? I'm sure we'll have that speech in just a moment. But Sabha, go ahead.
First of all, I'll say this is a shift in the rhetoric of this election and in the Prime Minister.
I can't hear anybody, so I don't know if it's me.
Can you hear me now? Okay, can the others hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sabha. Barkha, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Should I just...
Guys, if you can hear me, just indicate that you can hear me.
Yes.
Are you able to hear me? Please wave if you are able to hear me.
Yeah, we can all hear you. Should I continue? And then we can move on.
Not able to hear anything.
Sabha, I think you should continue.
Okay, so here's what I think, Barkha. Just... well, Barkha is not with us, but since the panel is together, this is a decisive shift in the rhetoric of the Prime Minister in recent years. For one, which Prime Minister in his history, when even in the post-Gujarat era, he would say, he would make waha, yaha, hum, tum. Here he is referred to the Muslim community directly by saying Muslims. That is also a fact. उन्होंने मुसलमान शब्द का भी इस्तेमाल किया है. उस पे भी आप थोड़ा सा गौर करिए. इसमें कोई डॉग विस्लिंग, जो हम डॉग विस्लिंग कहते हैं, नहीं है. डायरेक्टली उन्होंने कहा है. और ये कंट्रोवर्शियल स्पीच रहेगी। मुझे यकीन है कि जो उनके सिंपथाइजर्स, उनके सपोर्टर्स, उनके पार्टी का नेटवर्क, वो आइडियोलॉजिकली कहेगा कि ये कांग्रेस का रिएक्शन है, कांग्रेस ये करता है। लेकिन दुनिया भर से, क्योंकि लेकिन हाँ, मैंने मना किया है, लोग फोन कर रहे हैं फॉरेन मीडिया वाले कि हमारे आपके प्रधानमंत्री का ये भाषण, तो मैंने कोई कार्यक्रम इस पे करने उचित नहीं समझा. This is for me to say to you in India, having covered the BJP, having covered Modi's own journey, this is a disturbing speech. Many citizens are writing to the Election Commission of India. As a journalist, I can report that those things are going wrong. He has also named a community. That is a bit tragic. It's sad that you can even get away with saying वो उनके 25 हमारे 5. To give you an example, you can even say शमशान. आपने मुसलमान का नाम भी ले लिया, कह दिया मुसलमान. You have implied that one party which has ruled India for a long time is out of power now in a weakened condition. They are going to snatch things and give it away to the Muslims. You have implied that. You have even tried to incite fears by saying that women's Mangal Sutra will be taken away. So from a point of political analysis, it is obviously a speech akin to the kind that Donald Trump might make, saying, oh, the people are going to come from the Mexican border and take away, let's build a wall. It's that type of stuff. It's very routine. We can understand it through right-wing kind of propaganda. That is what I'll say. Should we move on? I mean, the next person has... Yeah.
I'm here. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? I'm here. I'm back. I hope it holds. So, Sabha, I heard your opening comments, and you said that he particularly named a community. And Sanjay, I'm sure you will agree with Sabha. So, let me see if I can get a contrary perspective here. Ashwini Shahi.
I agree with her, actually. I don't agree with her.
Oh, you don't agree with her? Okay, do you want to add your disagreement, and then I'll get Ashwini Shahi? Okay, Sanjay Jha, go ahead. Yeah.
I think Sabha refused to bite the bullet. I'm a little astonished as to how she was still, flirting with the periphery when it's the elephant in the room is that Narendra Modi, India's Prime Minister, should be banned from public campaigning. Narendra Modi as a candidate should be disqualified from contesting the Lok Sabha election. I have read what is the model code of conduct. It makes it worse that he is occupying an august office of the Prime Minister, and he's openly indulged in provocative communal polarization. And this is not the first time. Sabha mentions it's slightly, what is slightly? He called the Congress manifesto a Muslim League document. Where is the Congress manifesto a Muslim League document? Why is he bringing up the Muslim word again and again and again and again? I mean, is this man deserving to be the Prime Minister of this country? I think we need to ask these questions. I mean, today to call Muslims, as I'm glad your basically slide is showing, is infiltrators. Are there 200 million Muslims in our country? He wants to treat them as second-rate citizens. How is it right to say hum paanch hamare 25 Sabha? Just because he didn't name Muslims, didn't the world know what he was talking about? I mean, so here is my point.
I think Sabha wants to come in. I think Sabha wants to come in.
But I haven't finished. But I haven't finished. Okay. I haven't finished. My larger point is Narendra Modi is a successful product and an outcome of the 2002 Gujarat riots that Barkha people like you covered brilliantly. Okay. He has seen that communal hate, violence, and I dare say the complete riots or the pogrom or the genocide, whatever you call it, led to giving him the political brand of being the Hindu Hriday Samrat. He's leveraging that, and he's doing it in the most cruel, savage, vulgar fashion that any head of any state would do. I think he's making Donald Trump look like a lamb. That's the hard point.
Okay, he's making Donald Trump look like a lamb. Before I bring back Sabha for her clarification, let's get, I imagine, what will be contrary perspectives from the BJP spokesperson. Ashwini Shahi, आपसे शुरू करती हूँ. मोदी जी को क्या जरूरत पड़ी ऐसे भाषण देने की? बीजेपी ने बहुत बारी मनमोहन सिंह की 2006 की उस स्पीच का जिक्र किया है और मैं उसको प्ले भी करूंगी उस स्पीच को. लेकिन उसके आगे जो बोले कि जो लोग बच्चे ज्यादा पैदा करते हैं, Ghuspet, right? What is that? What is the? I mean, how can this language be appropriate for the Prime Minister of a country, Ashwini?
देखिए बरखा जी, बहुत स्पष्ट सी बात है। आज प्रधानमंत्री जी की बात को हमें तो लगता है संजय जी ने भी जो कहा वो अभी मैं आप संजय जी का जवाब देता हूं, पहले आपकी बात का जवाब दे रहा हूं। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कुछ भी गलत नहीं कहा। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उन्हीं चीजों को हिंदी में देश को समझा दिया जिन चीजों को अंग्रेजी में माननीय मनमोहन सिंह जी ने एक बार बोला और राहुल गांधी जी बार बार अपनी यात्रा से लेकर और अभी पिछले भाषण तक वो बोलते रहे। उसी को वो अंग्रेजी में बोलते रहे तो और चम होता है, वो हिंदी में समझा दिए तो बड़ा गलत हो गया, हेट स्पीच हो गई। ये हुआ है क्योंकि आज की बात नहीं है, कांग्रेस हमेशा से कहती रही। 71 का भाषण, 71 में इंदिरा जी का भी भाषण सबको याद होगा कि हिंदू और मुसलमान हमारे भाई हैं। अच्छी बात है कहा उन्होंने, लेकिन उन्होंने आगे जोड़ दिया कि मुसलमान चूंकि अल्पसंख्यक हैं इसलिए हम ज्यादा प्यार उनको करते हैं। ये उधर की बात हो गई। कांग्रेस हमेशा बहुसंख्यकवाद के खिलाफ रही है। अभी कुछ दिन पहले घोषणा पत्र इनका जारी हुआ, उन्होंने कहा कि अब बहुसंख्यकवाद और तानाशाही बर्दाश्त नहीं होगी। अब चलो तानाशाही तो अलग बात है, वो मुद्दा ही दूसरा हो जाएगा। बहुसंख्यक कौन है? आप अपने घोषणा पत्र में लिखते हैं बहुसंख्यकवाद बर्दाश्त नहीं है। और हिंदू को जब 2011 में बिल पास हुआ था, संजय जी तो उस समय कांग्रेस में ही हुआ करते थे, जिस बिल का विरोध हमने किया था वो बिल गिर गया। हिंदू और मुस्लिम में अगर दंगा होता है तो जो बहुसंख्यक होते हैं उनका जिम्मेदारी उनकी होगी। हिंदू की लड़की अगर रेप कर हो जाए तो उसको सामूहिक बलात्कार नहीं कहेंगे। संजोग से हमारे विरोध के बाद वो बिल पास नहीं हो पाया था और वो बिल रह गया था, नहीं तो सोनिया जी की तो मंशा थी। तो इनकी चीजें वही थी। ये अर्बन नक्सल की बात बोलते हैं। आज ये वही बात बोल रहे हैं राहुल गांधी जी कि जो नक्सली बोला करते थे कि हमको अमीरों की जमीन लूटनी है और उनसे छीनना है, बाकी सबको बांट देना है। अपने मेहनत से कमाए हुए पैसे को मैं रखूंगा। राहुल गांधी जी कौन होते हैं हमसे छीनकर सबको बांटने वाले? या कोई उद्यमी अगर कमाता है उस उद्यमी के पैसे वो सबको बांट देंगे, तो आप में और नक्सलियों में फर्क क्या रह गया? एक बात मैं संजय जी की जो बात कहना चाहता था बरखा जी, संजय जी जब सस्पेंड किए गए कांग्रेस से, इन्होंने टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में एक लिखा था लेख, मुझे याद आ रहा है, 5 बातें लिखी थी। कांग्रेस राजशाही में जी रही है और गफलत में जी रही है। ये दोनों चीजें यहाँ पर सटीक चस्पा हो रही हैं कांग्रेस के ऊपर कि वो राजशाही सोच आज भी जिंदा है। जिस तरीके से कम्युनिज्म की सोच है, उन कम्युनिस्टों की सोच को राहुल गांधी जी आज मंचों तक ला रहे हैं और उसको अगर माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक अच्छी व्याख्या करके जनता तक, आदिवासियों तक, गरीबों तक पहुंचा दिया तो वो हेट स्पीच में बदल जाता है। कितना दोहरा मापदंड है ये कांग्रेस और कांग्रेस के सहयोगी दलों का। एक और चीज मैं सुनाना चाहता हूँ, एक सेकंड की चीज है। अभी आज एक रांची में कुछ वो हुआ था, उसमें भाषण दे रहे थे माननीय संजय जी।
पूरे हिंदुस्तान में बाबा साहब डॉक्टर भीमराव अम्बेडकर का संविधान चलता है। हम सब लोग बाबा साहब डॉक्टर भीमराव अम्बेडकर के संविधान को मानते हैं। भारत तो बाबा साहब के संविधान को मानता है, लेकिन भाजपा ही नागपुर के संविधान को मानते हैं।
अब ये एक परसेप्शन सेट है, थोड़ा सा 1 मिनट का है, इस समय दिक्कत हो, आप थोड़ा नेटवर्क में नहीं है। संजय सिंह का कहना है ये कौन सा परसेप्शन सेट किया जा रहा है कि मोदी तानाशाह है, मोदी देश को बेच देंगे, मोदी देश की ये बात कर रहे हैं। ये सब चीजें जो परसेप्शन सेट किया जा रहा है, ये उससे एक कदम आगे बढ़कर राहुल गांधी जी ने अपने घोषणा पत्र में इन चीजों को लिखा है। और फिर मैं आखिरी बात, अपनी आखिरी लाइन कहता हूं कि माननीय मोदी जी ने सरल शब्दों में देश को समझा दिया है।
मुझे समझ आ गई कि आपने संजय सिंह की स्पीच सुनाई जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि जब मोदी जी करप्शन के बारे में बात करते हैं तो ऐसा लगता है कि उसामा बिन लादेन और गब्बर सिंह आर प्रीचिंग नॉन वायलेंस। तो आ गया मेरे पास आपकी स्पीच का ऑपरेटिव पार्ट। संजय झा, गिव मी अ मोमेंट, आई वांट टू ब्रिंग इन अभिजीत। I think the BJP is making the point that there are other speeches also that are inflammatory, that are debasing, and because they're your ally or a party you support, you will not make a noise. Abhijit, first on the Prime Minister's language. Now, we'll come to Manmohan Singh and what he said in a moment, and we have the operative part of the clip. But were you taken aback with the Prime Minister, who's made it a point to give interviews saying Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, who's trying to do an outreach with Paswanda Muslims, who's been meeting with Christian groups, to suddenly lapse into what has to be called, whether you classify it as hate speech or not, it has to be called coarse language. It is coarse language. How did you see the speech? Can we unmute Abhijit, please? One second, Abhijit. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay. So I was taken aback, Barkha, because the tonality of it was different from all the previous speeches that the Prime Minister has made. But I will not agree it was either hate speech or coarse speech, because what he did was essentially weave together two separate elements of what the Congress has been saying. One is Rahul Gandhi on the redistribution of wealth, and second is what Manmohan Singh said, which you said we'll come to later. I will just point out, I will leave that particular sentence there saying minorities, quote unquote, particularly Muslims. He used the word particularly Muslims, etc., out there. So no, I wasn't particularly surprised that this came up, because this is something that has been playing out, not through the Prime Minister, but a lot of the BJP cadre outside of it, for sure. And what did surprise me was that the Prime Minister came out and said it at this particular point of time.
So what felt different in this speech, Abhijit, from other speeches? If you didn't find it either coarse or amounting to hate speech, what felt different?
Different was just the theme.
जीवन के सपनों से जुड़ा हुआ है.
Okay, because he hasn't brought this particular issue up before. But see, I'll tell you why I didn't feel it was either coarse or crude. He mentioned three specific things. First, he brought about this bringing together Rahul Gandhi and what Manmohan Singh said. There was a second part on infiltrators, which is the Congress's own opposition to the NRC, CAA, and a lot of these India Alliance governments proactively going out to rehabilitate Rohingyas in their part of in their states and things like that, like Kashmir. And remember, the Rohingya insurgency, the Rohingya problem started off when a Rohingya terrorist organization attacked and killed 100 Burmese policemen. You go to their Twitter links and things like that from the timestamp of that particular episode. It was all completely started by the Rohingyas, specifically in the hope that there would be a regime change operation by the West, like they tried, or at least hinted to during Cyclone Nargis. The third aspect in all of this was, I did not find it attacking the Muslim community at all, like Sabha says. What he was highlighting was the fact of how the Congress has used, weaponized, and essentially taken the Muslim community for a ride by using them for political gains. He went on saying, Congress ye bolta hai, Congress ye bolta hai. He isn't saying, main ye bolta hu. He says, Congress ye bolta hai.
So let me tell you something very interesting. While the BJP is officially here, the Congress doesn't want to speak on this issue, Sabha. This will interest you, because I think they feel that this sort of polarization and quoting a Manmohan Singh speech that's very hard to explain to people what he actually said, what he actually meant, could go against its interest. Now, we've spoken about the Manmohan Singh speech. It's about a 57-second reference. I'm going to play all of it. It starts with talking about OBCs, SC, STs, women, backward classes. It ends, Abhijit is accurate on that, it ends with a reference that says particularly Muslims. Let's listen in and we can discuss former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's speech.
I believe our collective priorities are clear. Agriculture, irrigation and water resources, health, education, critical investment in rural infrastructure, and the essential public investment needs of general infrastructure, along with programs for the uplift of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, minorities, and women and children. The component plans for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes will need to be revitalized. We will have to devise innovative plans to ensure that minorities, particularly the Muslim minority, are empowered to share equitably in the fruits of development. They must have the first claim on our resources.
So can I join in here? So,
Sure.
Yeah, very first of all, the context in which I'm not defending, but I'm just informing. It was after the Sachar Commission report, if you recall. That is the context in which Manmohan Singh gave the speech. As a political, first of all, Sanjay, let's be clear. I'm not an activist, nor am I speaking for a party. I'm a journalist. And I will observe the Modi phenomena from the perspective of being that. I'm not going to just go and give a subjective viewpoint. Of course, I have subjective viewpoints which cloud my judgment, but let's be clear about that. So I'm a journalist and I'm quite well informed on the Bharatiya Janata Party, and I'm seeing this. So what I think has happened here, why has the Prime Minister done this now, is that tactically the Congress is correct not to respond to this, Barkha. Just as, if you recall, Arvind Kejriwal now in jail in 2020 during that second assembly election, which took place in the backdrop of Shaheen Bagh and those riots, he refused to say Hindu Muslim and he won. So the BJP always tries to ensnare people into a big narrative of Hindu and Muslim. So when an election has become localized, which is what has happened in places like Rajasthan and shockingly to me, in the first phase seats of Uttar Pradesh. Shockingly. So it was Uttar Pradesh, I thought, would be a cakewalk. It is not so. In fact, tomorrow I am going to go to one second phase seat just to clarify this. Is this true? Is this true? What is, so the BJP has been caught unawares. I believe in Bihar, but I cannot speak with certainty about what exactly. Then people tell me from Maharashtra, also it's not going well. So they are trying to again create that narrative. In Delhi, if I go back to the Delhi example, if you remember, you had ministers saying Goli Maro Salo Ko and all that, but AAP didn't walk into the trap.
So you believe that Prime Minister, but you believe the Prime Minister
setting a Hindu-Muslim narrative, he's basically saying, what is important, Amit Shah backs it up with another speech somewhere. They are saying, if the Congress wins, they are the ones who are talking about the possibility of a Congress win. If the Congress wins, then Musalman will again be in power and they will get Mangal Sutra le jayenge. Ye keh rahe hain. This is what is being said. Let's understand it. It's very it is obviously against Muslims. That is what is happening here. Yeah.
Sanjay, here's the question about this Manmohan Singh speech. It's not the first time it's come up. And in fact, even in 2006, when it came up, the government had to issue a clarification that's been pulled out by congressmen and women today and shared on social media to say that, no, he didn't mean only Muslims. It was obviously not exactly a well-drafted presentation, that can be said, because the Congress has to repeatedly keep explaining how it's being partially quoted, misquoted, and so on, right? Do you want to come in on the fact that the BJP is using strategy here and the Congress's strategy is to duck the debate? So actually you're coming all guns blazing, but your party or the party you support is actually ducking it. It's sidestepping this debate. I met Mallikarjun Kharge right now, just a small detail. I met Mr. Kharge right now at a rally here, and I put a mic in front of him and I asked him to react to what Prime Minister Modi is said, and he pushed the mic away and he didn't, not because he had any problem with me, he didn't want to comment on this issue other than the cursory tweets they've done. They're ducking this debate.
Barkha, very quickly, I think Mr. Kharge, in fact, has been very vocal on it. His speech yesterday.
It's a tweet, and they don't want you to have a long life now. They want this issue to be buried.
But this is far from being buried. This is now going to get into an issue of the matter being taken to the Election Commission. And of course, this will be in the public, shall we say, consciousness for a long, long time to come. In fact, I think what everybody is pointing out is the reality that India's Prime Minister is openly and brazenly indulging in a very dangerous, diabolical game of communal hate. And I want to make a point here, Barkha, because I was the official spokesperson of the Congress party, and I've debated this, by the way, not for the first time, several times, even before 2014. And I remember having a conversation with the people at that point when I was in Delhi to ask about the details before I went public. And here is the point, Barkha, and you are a very respected journalist, so I want to tell this on your show. Others will interrupt me. look at the text, we are all, people who are well versed with the language. The Mr. Dr. Manmohan Singh's statement starts by talking about the upliftment of SC, STs, other backward classes, minorities, women, and children, right? Then he expands that statement, and then he goes on to say that particularly the Muslim minority, because they've suffered, and Sabah is right, it was with reference to also to the Sachar Committee report, and are empowered to share equitably in the fruits of development. Now, here is the line that the BJP is being mischievous with. When he says they must have the first claim on resources, Dr. Manmohan Singh was referring to everybody referred to earlier, not just to the Muslims. He was referring to the SCs,
But he
STs,
does
women,
say
OBCs.
particularly.
That
he
is the
does
truth.
but he does say in his last line, minorities, particularly Muslims.
But
He
you're
does
missing
say
the point. Yeah,
No,
but
I'm
he
not.
goes on to.
I played the speech. How am I missing the point? I played that speech.
Yeah, but he says when he says they must have the first claim on resources, it is both presumptuous, wicked, vile, and extremely, I would say, self-suiting and opportunistic for Mr. Iyer and Mr. Chaube and anybody else to believe that he meant Muslims. If that was the case, he would actually be talking about Muslims and not even referring to the others. Now, here is the second point. Mr. Modi's 2014 tenure. Let's not try and be pussyfooting around here. Okay, I'm not a journalist, so unlike Sabah, I don't have the predicament of trying to be giving a false equivalency.
It's not a predicament. It's our job. Sorry to come in for Sabah here, but our job is not to let our audience know who we vote for. That is the job of a good journalist.
No. My statement is different.
My statement is different for their political affiliation.
Barkha, my statement is different. There are times when you can't indulge in a false equivalency. Lynching deaths have happened since Modi became Prime Minister. A call for genocide of Muslims has happened since Modi became Prime Minister. Okay. Muslims have been frightened has happened since Mr. Modi became Prime Minister. It's a fact. Can we deny that? Can anybody deny it? Bilkis Banu, just one last example. Bilkis Banu gang raped in the 2002 Gujarat riots when Mr. Modi was the chief minister, gets released. Her rapists get released on an Independence Day celebrations when Mr. Modi is the Prime Minister. Can you see the coincidence there?
Okay, let me, I think you've said a lot. As far as the speech is concerned, that's why we played out the full speech. Indeed, Dr. Manmohan Singh starts with a reference to women, other backward classes, women and children, SC, STs, religious minorities, and then at the end of the paragraph he says minorities, particularly Muslims. Now Abhijit and then Ashwini ji. Abhijit, you were nodding in disagreement when Sanjay Jha was speaking. Go ahead.
I would just first, Barkha, with your permission, request Ria to bring up the graphic that I sent her, which is the transcript of the speech.
Okay, can we please do that?
Paragraph of the speech.
Okay, if Ria can please bring that up, or if you can tell us where it is. Shirali, Ria, if you can please bring it up. Abhijit, I'm sure they'll bring it up. It's on WhatsApp, okay. So it'll take a second for them to
I've actually marked this out thematically there in the speech. Now, you see, the problem with what Sanjay is saying is, it's very easy to convince somebody of the IQ of Rahul Gandhi that what he's saying is accurate. It takes a bit more when you're convincing people with a significantly higher IQ. Now, there were 5 parts in that one paragraph, 5 themes. The first part was, I believe our collective priorities, public infrastructure, etc. Comma, within the same sentence, the second part of it was, along with programs for the upliftment of SC, STs, other backward classes, minorities, women, and children. These 5 categories were mentioned. Full stop. The next sentence was a complete standalone and a break. It said the component plans for the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes will need to be revitalized. Complete thematic break, very specific to SCs and STs only out there. Already at this point, the other 4 sections have been divorced from this particular sentence, which is the backward classes, the minorities, the women, and the children. Okay. Next, he comes to the operative part of what we are talking about. We will have
here's your speech on the screen. There it is.
Okay. Now, if you look at the green part, now if you look at the yellow part, that is where the complete thematic and grammatical and syntax break happens in that thing. That is a total standalone sentence out there. Next, you come to the green part. We will have to devise innovative plans to ensure that minorities, particularly the Muslim minority, are empowered to share equitably in the fruits of development. They must have the first claim on resources. Now, if Sanjay claims this applied to the people in blue, how is it that yellow completely breaks the flow?
Can I ask
You
a question?
This
Can I ask a
violates
question?
every single principle
Let
of
me answer him, Barkha.
Let me
answer
I have
him.
a question. I have a
Let me
question of
answer him.
Abhijit. Sanjay, 1 minute. Sanjay, 1 minute. Let him finish his point.
Yeah.
Abhijit, go ahead. Yeah.
Either, see, this is the whole problem. He is also contradicting. Manmohan Singh is contradicted in this particular paragraph. He is also contradicted the Rahul Gandhi's own slogan of Jitna Abadi Utna Haq. Because understand, Muslims are 14.2%, SCs are 16.6%, OBCs are 41%. So even if he assumes, let's assume Sanjay is right and I am wrong and it applies to all of them, the very word particularly Muslims means you will prioritize them over 41% OBCs, you will prioritize them over 16.6% SCs, and you have to be particularly low IQ like Rahul Gandhi to believe all this.
Barkha, right to rejoinder.
Okay. Yeah, right to rejoinder, but with one brief question to Abhijit from me. I believe that it was a clumsily drafted speech, I think. But I do believe that they wouldn't start with women, OBCs, children, SC, STs if they wanted a Muslim-focused speech. Do you grant that, Abhijit?
No, I don't, because then why would they add particularly, Barkha? See, I agree with you. If it was clumsily drafted, they should just come out and said, we're sorry, it was clumsily drafted. This is not what we meant. You look at Sanjay, he's not even in his party and he's doubling down to defend this drivel.
Okay. Because some of us...
Sanjay, briefly, Ashwini
Barkha, let me come here.
Yeah, okay.
Let me come here.
Then Ashwini ji,
yeah. Listen, I don't comment on people personally. Abhijit, I don't comment on you personally. I think just don't worry about don't worry about me and my party.
He didn't
don't
comment
worry about
on you, but he didn't comment on you. He didn't comment on you. He only commented on the speech. He called the speech drivel. Nothing to do with me. Please,
no, he doesn't have to worry about my ideological commitment.
Come on. Stay on point.
Yeah. So here is my point. Can anybody deny? I have read, by the way, detailed, not just the Sachar committee report. I have read a lot of stuff on how minorities are handled in this country. We don't come here talking through the hat, indulging in rhetoric. So here is a fact, Barkha. Can anybody deny on your program? Can any viewer of your program deny that amongst the minorities in this country, the Muslims are more worse off than anybody else? And therefore, as a responsible democratic prime minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh said, what is the truth? And what is the truth, Barkha? That amongst the minorities, the Muslims are the worst off.
But then own
there
the
is nothing
statement.
wrong.
But then own the statement. Don't deny the statement. You can't both deny the statement and not own, you can't both own the statement and deny the statement.
No, actually, come to think of it, I'll tell you why you're wrong. In this case, he's wrong. He's right on both counts. There is an acknowledgement that amongst the minorities, the Muslims are the more worst off, and therefore they will need an extra degree of treatment. But to assume, and that's what the BJP, Mr. Mitra and other people are doing, is to blanket send an impression that, hang on, this is just saying that the Muslims have the first right to resources. That is the real problem, right? The BJP is saying that the Muslims have the first right to resources. Actually, it is not just the Muslims. It is the minorities. It is the scheduled caste. It is the scheduled tribe. It is the women. It is the children.
I must get
Enough of the lies. Enough of the fake news. Enough of the post-truth.
अश्विनी जी, मोदी जी ने एक रेफरेंस दिया जो मैं एग्जैक्ट वर्ड्स याद नहीं, पर उन्होंने कहा जो बच्चे ज्यादा पैदा करते हैं. अब इस पे एसवाई कुरैशी की एक किताब है पॉपुलेशन मिथ. उन्होंने जो आंकड़े दिए हैं मैं आपके सामने रखना चाह रही हूँ. उन्होंने कहा है कि जब पॉलीगमी की बात आती है तो एक्चुअली ट्राइबल कम्युनिटीज में पॉलीगमी सबसे ज्यादा होती है और हिंदूज और मुसलमान की कम्युनिटी में ज्यादा अंतर नहीं है. फिर वो कहते हैं कि वो मानते हैं कि एक डेमोग्राफिक चेंज हुआ है. वो कहते हैं 4.2% increase in Muslim population, but Muslims can never outnumber Hindus. By 2100 they projected to be 18% of population. मैं इसलिए ये आंकड़े आपके सामने रख रही हूँ कि ये जो रेफरेंस था टू इन्फिल्ट्रेटर्स, इंट्रूडर, चलिए मनमोहन सिंह की स्पीच दो राय हो सकते हैं, पर ये जो रेफरेंसेस थे इनका हम कैसे इनको रीड करें? घुसपैठ, जो बच्चे ज्यादा पैदा करती है, आंकड़े मैं आपके सामने रख रही हूँ।
बरखा जी देखिए, मनमोहन सिंह जी के बयान को अभी स्पीच जो अंग्रेजी में दिखाई गई थी, मैं चाहता हूं कि आपका इंग्लिश चैनल है मगर मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूं, तो मैं चाहता हूं कि हिंदी वाले दर्शकों को भी कम से कम आपके चैनल से ये पता चले कि जो संजय जी आप अभी कह रहे हैं, या तो भाई एग्री होइए या डिसएग्री होइए, संजय जी दोनों तरफ है, मीठा मीठा गप गप कड़ुआ कड़ुआ तू। हिंदी में उसका एक सेंटेंस का जो रूपांतरण होता है कि समाज के सभी पिछड़े और अल्पसंख्यक वर्गों, विशेषकर मुसलमानों, जो पर्टिकुलरली मुसलमानों की बात अभिजीत जी कर रहे थे, आप कर रही थी, विशेषकर मुसलमानों को उनके बराबर की हिस्सेदारी सुनिश्चित करने के लिए सशक्तिकरण किए जाने की आवश्यकता है। तो जब विशेषकर जब लाल निशान लगा देंगे, आप अंडरलाइन मुसलमानों के लिए कर देंगे, तो आपको कहना पड़ेगा ना कि हाँ हमने किया है। देश में संजय जी नेहरू जी के जमाने से हो रहा था, जब जा रहे थे सोमनाथ में जो है राजेंद्र बाबू, तो उनको हिंदू कहा जा रहा था, तो वो सांप्रदायिकता और वो सेकुलरिज्म उस समय नजर नहीं आया था किसी को। आज आपको वो नजर आ रही है कि जो है किस तरीके से बिल्किस बानो की बात है। आपको ये करना चाहिए कि हिंदुस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री 2014 के बाद जब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी नरेंद्र मोदी जी बने, तो उन्होंने उड़ान योजना की शुरुआत की, फ्री कोचिंग देते हैं महिलाओं को। इस योजना की जानकारी आप देश को नहीं देंगे। हजारों लाखों लड़कियों को लड़कों को फ्री कोचिंग दी जा रही है, 1,500 से 3,000 रुपए उनको पैसे दिए जाते हैं। शादी सगुन योजना, उनकी शादी में 51,000 रुपए दिए जाते हैं बरखा जी। उस्ताद योजना, मुस्लिम कारीगरों को ज्यादा और कुशल बनाया जा रहा है। सीखो और कमाओ योजना, ये उनके लिए, बाकी ये सब नहीं, सबको पता नहीं है। जो स्वरोजगार में सीखो और कमाओ पर्टिकुलर मुस्लिम लोगों के लिए ये किया गया है। ईदी योजना है, ईदी योजना में 5 करोड़ छात्रों को जो है छात्रवृत्ति दी जाती है। 5 करोड़, याद रखिएगा, एक अच्छी खासी संख्या होती है 5 करोड़ छात्रों की। नई मंजिल, स्कूल छोड़ने वालों के लिए, जो स्कूल छोड़ देते हैं उन बच्चों को कौशल विकास में ले जाया जाता है। 3 तलाक हमने उनके लिए किया ही। तो हमने जब उनके लिए किया है ये चीजें, तो आप आज कह रहे हैं कि वो पर्टिकुलर मुस्लिम के लिए नाम ले रहे हैं। ज्यादा बच्चे पैदा करने वाले, आप देख लिए 2011 में सेंसेक्स हुआ था बरखा जी, ये सेंसेक्स उस समय का है। ये रेशियो जो बच्चे पैदा करने का है, किसके पास ज्यादा है, हिंदू के पास है या मुस्लिम के पास है? ये आप रेशियो निकाल लीजिए, अपने आप पता चल जाएगा कि किसके ज्यादा बच्चे पैदा होते हैं। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने क्या कहा है, उस सेंसेक्स पर जाइए और जो आज रेशियो है उस रेशियो में निकाल लीजिए। आज ही, मैं दूर नहीं जाऊंगा, एक मुसलमानों के बड़े मसीहा हैं ओवैसी जी, वो गिना रहे थे कि हमारा ये रेशियो है, हिंदुओं का हमसे कम है। उन्होंने कहा, जब उनके मुंह से कहा आपने, जो आदमी जहर उगलता है दिन भर, वो आज नेशनल टेलीविजन पर एक मोबाइल हाथ में लेकर रेशियो पढ़ रहे थे। तो ये देखना जरूरी है कि जो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है उसको राहुल जी से और मनमोहन सिंह जी से कैसे जोड़ा जाएगा और कांग्रेस से कैसे जोड़ा जाएगा कि कांग्रेस ने हमेशा मुसलमानों के हक की बात।
आई हैव टू टेक लास्ट कमेंट्स, बट उससे पहले ये जो रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की डिबेट है, it's actually not in the manifesto, it was made in Rahul Gandhi's speech. Rahul Gandhi made this reference very specifically to a financial survey if the Congress forms the government, and then spoke about redistribution. The manifesto only refers to broad policy changes, doesn't spell them out. Take a look at what Rahul Gandhi said and we'll take last comments after that.
हम फाइनेंशियल और इंस्टीट्यूशनल सर्वे करेंगे, అదే విధంగా ఆర్థికపరమైన వ్యవస్థాపకమైన సర్వే కూడా చేయించబోతున్నాము। ये पता लगाएंगे हिंदू किसके हाथों में है, कौन से वर्ग के हाथ में है। ఈ విధంగా భారతదేశం యొక్క ధనము ఏ వర్గం దగ్గర ఉంది, ఎక్కడుందో మేము తెలుసుకుంటాము। और इस ऐतिहासिक कदम के बाद हम क्रांतिकारी काम शुरू करेंगे। ఈ చారిత్రాత్మక అడుగు వేసిన తర్వాత కొన్ని విప్లవాత్మక మార్పులు తీసుకురాబోతున్నాము। जो आपका हक बनता है वो हम आपके लिए आपको देने का काम करेंगे। మీ హక్కు అయితే ఏదుందో మీ హక్కు ప్రకారం మీకు ఇవ్వబోతున్నానని చెప్పి నేను మనవి చేస్తున్నాను। चाहे वो मीडिया हो, ब्यूरोक्रेसी हो, हिंदुस्तान की सब संस्थाएं हो, वहां हम आपकी जगह बनाकर आपको हिस्सेदारी देंगे। భారతదేశంలో ఉన్న అన్ని సంస్థలు, బ్యూరోక్రసీ గాని, మీడియా కంపెనీలు గాని, ఇతర సంస్థల్లో కూడా ఎవరి భాగస్వామ్యం ఎవరికి వచ్చే విధంగా మేము అడుగులు తీసుకుంటామని చెప్పి నేను మనవి చేస్తున్నాను। भाई और बहनों, आप हो कि यहाँ आपके पिछले चीफ मिनिस्टर ने सरकार कैसे चलाई थी?
Okay, let's get last comments. I'll start with you, Sanjay Jha. Does this speech help the Congress at this point? Does it help? Because nobody knows what it means to redistribute wealth, and people will understand it that the state can come and take something from you, give it to someone else. लोगों को तो ऐसा ही समझ आएगा ना. Secondly, this जितनी आबादी उतना हक is a very problematic slogan because actually it's a majoritarian slogan.
Barkha, you're asking this question to the wrong person because, frankly speaking, this is my subject of my thesis, actually. And India is a country that desperately needs a progressive redistribution policy. We all know that 1% of Indians hold over 40% of its wealth. We all know the kind of income polarization there is in this country. What Rahul Gandhi, when he talks about an institutional redistribution, he's talking about one, the allocation of resources by the state and the kind of taxation policies that will come into play, and how will that blend into actual welfare allocations. But let me address two very quick points before we move on, and that is my closing line. What can you expect from a man who in 2002 mocked the chief election commissioner by saying Lyngoh, Lingdo? It was not a Muslim, it was a Christian, but we all know what he was alluding to. When he said Hum Panch Hamare Pachis, he was talking about Muslims being a reproduction factory. This is not just a language, it's a contempt that he holds. The tone and tenor is the way he looks down. It's not just condescending, it's humiliating, is the way he looks at a certain community. And my last point, do you forget in 2014, his famous interview, when he referred to the 2002 Gujarat riots as sitting at the backseat of a car and a puppy comes under the wheels. It is a mindset, Barkha. It's an ideological mindset. And some of your panelists, I think, are afflicted with the same disease.
Ashwini ji, I'll get you to respond with one additional question. मुझे बहुत interesting लगा कि कल की speech के बाद आज मोदी जी ने हज के बारे में बात की, ट्रिपल तलाक के बारे में बात की. Politics में कुछ coincidental तो होता नहीं, calibrated ही होता है. तो कैसे देखिए आपने ये दो speeches को अगर साथ साथ रखे तो?
देखिए, उन्होंने हज ट्रिपल तलाक का मामला हमने किया, हमारे उसमें था, हमने उसको जो है कानून बनाया उस पर. हज में हमने जीएसटी घटाया, तो हम नहीं बोलेंगे तो कौन बोलेगा? मैंने 5 योजनाएं गिनाई, तो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की देन है वो. हज में वीआईपी कोटा खत्म किया, कोटा बढ़ाया हमने. तो ये हज की चीज हम नहीं बताएंगे तो कौन बताएगा? ये चुनाव का समय है, सबके बीच में बताना है. मगर जो चीजें कहने राहुल गांधी जी ने जो कहा था और संजय जी जो कह रहे हैं, संजय जी जो दोनों चीजों को मिक्स करके कह रहे हैं कि इंस्टीट्यूशनल सर्वे, उन्होंने पहले सर्वे की बात की, फाइनेंशियल सर्वे कराएंगे, इंस्टीट्यूशनल सर्वे बाद में कहा उन्होंने. आप दोनों का सर्वे कराएंगे तो फाइनेंशियल सर्वे किस चीज का कराएंगे? और रही बात जो बार बार कहते हैं कि इतने % लोगों के पास इतनी संपत्ति थी, तो क्या 2014 के पास पूरे देश के पास 1-1 करोड़ रुपया था या 100 करोड़ रुपया था? ये बता दिया जाए देश को. राहुल गांधी जी को बताना चाहिए. और अब वो कम हो गया है, तो इसलिए हम उनसे छीनकर सबको बांटेंगे. उसके बाद नंबर आएगा सर्वे में तो अश्वनी शाही से छीना जाएगा, बरखा जी से छीना जाएगा, संजय झा जी से लिया जाएगा, सबा जी से लिया जाएगा, हमारे अभिजीत भाई से लिया जाएगा. तो ये जब बचेगा, इसके बाद जो बचेगा तो सुलेमान और सोहराब अली से लिया जाएगा, सबसे लिया जाएगा. तो राहुल गांधी जी को किसने हक दिया इस लोकतंत्र? अभी कहते हैं बार बार घूमकर कि लोकतंत्र की हत्या की जा रही है, संविधान खत्म हो रहा है. तो ये कौन सी संवैधानिक व्यवस्था में, किस संविधान में बाबा साहब ने लिखा था कि अश्वनी शाही से छीनिए, अंबानी से छीनिए और मोदी जी से छीनिए और जो है अभिजीत जी को दीजिए और बरखा जी को दीजिए? कहाँ लिखा है भाई? बताइए, उसको जस्टिफाइड करिए. आम जनता को पैसा क्यों छीनना चाहते हैं राहुल गांधी जी? उनकी मंशा क्या है? देश के साथ क्या करना चाहते हैं, ये बताना पड़ेगा.
ये स्पीच से सवाल तो जरूर उठते हैं. Sabha, the BJP has fully exploited that reference and distilled it down to a way that people will understand it. कि आपका मंगलसूत्र ले लेंगे, आपका सोना ले लेंगे. That is real politics. That is fair politics. You make a speech, you open yourself up. It's the reference to Muslims that is confusing because today it's a very different reference. Today's speech is a very different reference.
But I don't think there's anything confusing for me. I've watched the BJP for so long. I've watched Prime Minister Modi also. From you also have, it's a simply getting the narrative back on Hindu-Muslim because the first phase was a surprise. It's been a shock. It is a tactic which has happened again and again and again, and we have spent all our time talking, which I find it a very tragic statement of the time. Manmohan Singh, yeah, he may have said that it was not a politically wise thing. He's now even retired from parliament. And people are like, with the scrutiny going on, Muslim, a community which is on the back foot for a decade, which has very poor representation in electoral representation. But you will go on Muslim से ये कहा आपने तो मुस्लिम को देंगे ये कहा, यही हो रहा है तमाशा. तो इस पर मतलब it reflects badly on most people, यार, from the humanitarian level. If I go and I have a system and I go after that poor guy in my street and I say, like the neighborhood uncles, and they say हमें नहीं चाहिए कि वो लोग हमारे building में आए. I of course fight all those issues, so I can tell you the side. It's so pathetic, it's so small. But so I'll just say Modi has done some self-correction, because as I pointed out to you, there is an international observation also. This election is being watched. It's not good for his reputation. So today he's gone and the Gulf countries, I mean, we get a lot of things out of them, yeah, with that case in Qatar and all that. So little bit of backtracking, little bit of confusion. Make no mistake, this is coming from the nervousness. This is
जी हिंदुस्तान का इलेक्शन वॉच किया जा रहा है, अच्छी बात है, बढ़िया है, और कतर जाएंगे, वहां जाएंगे. पाकिस्तान से लाखों अभी भगाए गए अफगानिस्तान में. कौन सा मुस्लिम राष्ट्र जो ने एक आवाज उठाई है, जरा बता दीजिए. और चाइना में जो उइगर के साथ हो रहा है, उसके साथ किसने क्या आवाज उठाई है? हिंदुस्तान के लिए ये आवाज उठाई सिर्फ.
वो सही बात है आपकी, इस बात में मैं सहमत हूं. और वो जो गाजा है उसमें भी कुछ नहीं ज्यादा कुछ कर रहे हैं. ये तो अलग है, हम लोग बिल्कुल हम लोग. I will take us into another hour and we are in the last minute. So Abhijit, I'm giving you the last word, since you did very meticulously underline and Sabha said, what's the point? What is the point of that underlining? There's a larger debate. Clearly the Prime Minister himself seemed to calibrate his comments, because maybe he saw how they'd gone down, or maybe he's playing multiple constituencies. We don't know. We simply don't know. We're all guessing. Abhijit, last word.
Well, knowing Modi, there's the winner of 2 general elections and 3 state elections or more. He is always catering to multiple constituencies. He has been the singularly most pro-Muslim prime minister we've had, which gets him a lot of hate from the Hindu trad right. You know, they call him Maulana Modi because of that. Who did the...
But you still say that after yesterday's speech?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what was his speech? His speech was pointing out all the failures of the Congress and how they were throwing essentially biscuits at a dog in order to make up for everything. Where was all this revolutionary wealth distribution happening in the last 70 years, Barka? How did Rahul Gandhi only suddenly get this idea? Do you remember what Rahul Gandhi's own father said? When a big tree falls, the earth will shake and all that nonsense. Their own alliance partner, you've seen what he's been saying about my religion. He will wipe us out like vermin. He's been using the kind of language Hitler used for Jews about my religion. Where is all of Sanjay Jha's moral outrage then? Where is Taba Naqvi's moral outrage out then? And let's be clear about this. We are at a stage of our development where we don't care who is watching, Barka. I think that is what it comes down to. Because remember, this is not the first election to be fought on Muslim-Hindu. I remember Sabha and Sanjay for the last 2 elections. 2019 also they were playing Muslim Hindu. 2014 so they were especially playing Muslim Hindu.
But how are they playing Muslim Hindu? How are they playing? How are they playing Muslim Hindu? If the PM hadn't made this speech, we wouldn't be having this show. No,
but they've been playing Muslim Hindu throughout. So this time Modi played it. So the sky has fallen. By Tutatis, the sky has fallen.
Can I allow Sabha a brief interjection and then we have to close this?
Yeah, I'm not going to respond. Yeah, he just said throwing biscuits before a dog. Slightly unfortunate choice. So I think it's not diplomatic. So anyway, I think he may not get in the future be elevated to the ranks of a
chef. Dogs are very high value. Dogs are more valuable.
No, but I'm on such patchy network that I missed that reference.
A metaphor. I find it quite surprising that Sabha, who needs so much into metaphors, is willing to give people like Udaynidhi and Rajiv Gandhi a great short shift on their metaphors.
Okay, Sanjay Jha wanting to come in. Sanjay Jha, then I'll get Ashwini Shahi. Then we really have to close. Please,
this is when
Sanjay Jha.
People get backlowed. The word is when people are rattled and use personal offense.
Okay, Sanjay Jha.
I've just pointed out the rhetorical correct.
Okay, Sanjay Jha. And then Ashwini ji, please.
Bartha, let me expose the falsehoods being spread by Mr. Mitra and the right-wing ecosystem. Look at the mathematical absurdity of his argument. If there are 100 voters and 14 are Muslims and 80 are Hindus, can anybody really win an election by trying to minority appeasement of 14? I mean, is that even have even common sense? There is no rationality in Iyer's argument. And this is the falsehoods that the right wing and the BJP spread, because they have absolutely nothing else to do but to abuse Muslims in this country. That's all. It is a phobia. It is an insecurity. Hindu khatre mein hai is the biggest sham, is the biggest falsehood they have spread since Modi became Prime Minister.
Okay, Ashwini ji, only fair that I allow you a last comment and then we'll close. Ashwini.
बरखा जी, देखिए इतनी चीजें हो रही हैं, मुस्लिम राहुल गांधी जी पर चर्चा चल रही है और मनमोहन सिंह जी पर 15 अगस्त 2019 का एक अखबार का कटिंग है हमारे पास, दैनिक जागरण का, यहाँ हम शो कर पा रहे हैं। इसमें राहुल गांधी जी का बयान छपा हुआ है, मैं किसी तरीके के हिंदुत्व पर विश्वास नहीं रखता। राहुल गांधी किसी तरीके के हिंदुत्व पर, इस पर कभी चर्चा हुई, कभी डिबेट हुआ? अगर आप बार बार कह रहे हैं साउथ में जा रहे हैं, राहुल गांधी जी इस तरीके के बयान दे रहे हैं और घोषणा पत्र में स्पष्ट रूप से लिखा हुआ है संजय जी, तानाशाही और बहुसंख्यकवाद को बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जाए। आपके घोषणा पत्र में है, तो आप इन चीजों को मिला लीजिए कि कौन क्या चाहता है, राहुल गांधी जी क्या चाहते हैं, कौन सी तुष्टीकरण चाहते हैं, और कांग्रेस जब से प्रादुर्भाव हुआ क्या तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति करती रही, AK एंटोनी साहब की रिपोर्ट क्या आई, ये सब मिला लीजिए तो अपने आप पता चल जाएगा कि कांग्रेस ने क्या किया है और माननीय मोदी जी ने देश के हिंदुओं को, आदिवासियों को क्या समझाया।
मुझे इस समय थैंक यू बोलना पड़ेगा क्योंकि 5 बज गए हैं, बहुत गर्मी है, आप सबको भी जाना है और गर्मी ना जोड़े with a kind of heated debate. We try and keep it civil. The backdrop though is heating up and getting polarized, so it is going to be important for us as political observers to see what the impact of this Hindu-Muslim polarization in the discourse is. Thank you very much, Abhijit Iyer, Sabha Naqvi, Ashwini Shahi and Sanjay Jha. Always a pleasure. Thank you to our audience and see you soon. See you tomorrow. Namaskar and hello everyone. Welcome to a ride through the heart and the soul of India. क्योंकि जब इलेक्शन सीजन आता है तो कौन जीता, कौन हारा, कौन आगे, कौन पीछे, ये बातचीत तो होती ही रहती है. But it's also a time for travel and meeting people and getting to know your own country better. So, welcome to the dhabas of democracy, where every bite tells a story, where every conversation will spice up your day. Experience the masala, the flavor, the swad of this election with us as we take a unique road trip from the south to the north of India, traveling thousands of kilometers to bring you the flavor of this election.
इलेक्शन सर पर है, वोटर अपना मन बना रहे हैं। ऐसे में आपको चाहिए सही फैक्ट, सही ज्ञान, सही नॉलेज। इसी कड़ी में मोजो स्टोरी लेकर आ रहा है एक खास कार्यक्रम, बैलेट की बात। मैं हूं पॉलिटिकल रिसर्चर कार्तिकेय बत्रा और मैं चाहता हूं आपके दिन के केवल 2 मिनट कैंडिडेट्स, पार्टीज, अलायंसेस, इश्यूज, इन सब पर होगी बात और होगा रोज आपका एक छोटा सा पॉलिटिकल टेस्ट, स्पेशल प्राइजेस फॉर दोज हु आर द बेस्ट। तो बैलेट की बात, कट द नॉइज, सिर्फ सच और फैक्ट की वर्ड।